This is the moment we waited for. Everything you want is right here. We gon' give them what they came for. We gon' take it up from last year. Shoot on my shot, boy, I'm long range. Me and the team on the same thing. Stayed down, never switched up. Only thing changed was the game. I'm in the zone now. Nothing can change what we on now. When I pull up, know it's going down. Foot on the gas, ain't no slowing down. Aiming for greatness, no settling. Kick down the doors, they won't let me in. Taking no else, yeah, I gotta win. Watch me kick down the doors, they won't let me in. Who running the game now? Foot on the gas, can slow down. No, my team, we holding it down. We know we running it now. Watch the game change. Watch the game change. Watch the game change. Watch the game change, yeah. Tell them that's life, yeah, it's still of it. I'm taking a shot for my enemies. I can't waste no more time on my energy. I know they know I got it on lock. Go against me, that's a long shot. Cause I'm counting wins all around the clock. Never doubt me, boy, I don't stop. Who do you feel when they make you the monster? I am not scared of none of you imposters. Taking the lead now while they watching. Think you should leave now while the option. Taking no else, yeah, I gotta win. Watch me kick down the doors, they won't let me in. Who running the game now? Foot on the gas, can slow down, no.
Welcome to another edition of the It's Cavalier Podcast. It's your boy Mac, and today we have reached the conclusion, that's right, the final chapter of this expectation series, and now we discuss the bigs on the roster. And if you haven't heard the last few episodes, which revolve around the guards and forwards on the roster, now is your chance to pause this video, go back and check those out. I did one for both position groups, but before we go any further, I'd just like to say, if you're new here, click subscribe so you don't miss out on all the Cavs coverage during the 2024-25 season. The regular season is finally here, so don't miss out on anything. There's sure to be a ton to break down. Do me a favor and hit that like button if you're watching over on YouTube as well. Now, time to pay some bills. Take it away, Mac. Man, I've been trying to cut my expenses any way that I can, and it's been kind of hard as of late. There are only so many subscriptions that you can cancel and only so many corners that you can cut. And I know that I cannot be the only one out there that is struggling with that. That is why I am recently partnered with Mint Mobile, who offer premium wireless plans starting at just $15 a month. And I was shocked to find out that I could get high-speed data and unlimited talk and text on the nation's largest 5G network without really giving up anything important. I kept my own phone, my number, and I didn't have to worry about losing any of my existing contacts. And since I've made this switch, I haven't had to worry about any of my calls being dropped, spotty coverage, or slow internet connections, which is important because as a content creator, these things are kind of like my lifeline. And trust me, I was skeptical at first, but after hours of streaming on their services, there is no noticeable difference. Making that switch ain't hard either, despite what Big Mobile wants you to believe. Switching your plan takes around 15 minutes, and it's actually super easy thanks to digital eSIM cards, which most phones tend to have these days. You can sign up and activate immediately right on your phone from the comfort of your own home. And if your phone by chance doesn't have an eSIM, Mint will actually ship you a SIM card for free, F-R-E-E. And with all the money you'll save, you'll never have to worry about canceling subscriptions again. So why not make the switch to Mint Mobile today? Head over using my link, mintmobile.com/Cavalier Podcast. Again, that's trymintmobile.com/Cavalier Podcast. All right, now it's time to discuss perhaps the group with the least amount of depth. That would be the bigs. And by the way, these are the groups. And for my folks streaming via audio, the big main group consists of Evan Mobley, Jarrett Allen, Tristan Thompson, and JT Thor. I'm sure you guys already knew that, but I'm just going to clarify for you. Not a large group, but pretty top heavy to say the least. I'm sure you would agree with that. Like we have the last two breakdowns, we will start from the bottom up and begin with JT Thor, very intriguing prospect. Now, JT Thor is the player among this group that we collectively know the least about, and that's simply because, one, dude's new here, right? And two, every other player here has spent at least 3 seasons in Cleveland. And in the case of Tristan Thompson, a fucking decade. That's not to say we don't know anything about Thor, though. He spent the last 3 seasons trying to work his way into the rotation for a Charlotte Hornets team that has been in a state of flux for a while now. He's appeared in 165 career games and hasn't really been able to solidify himself into a quality rotation player as of yet. He holds career averages of 3.2 points, 2.1 rebounds, and just half an assist, while completing 41.8% of his field goals. A far cry from the 9.4 points and 5 boards per game he was putting up in just 23 minutes per game for the Auburn Tigers in his lone season at the collegiate level. Now, the appeal with Thor has always been centered around his size, to be honest. During the 2021 draft combine, he was measured at 6'9.25 with a standing reach of 9'2" and a massive wingspan of 7'3.25. In fact, his wingspan was clocked at the 3rd rangiest in that draft class behind Nehemias Queta and Jericho Sims. The Auburn product's hybrid-like size could theoretically allow him to play all 3 of the front court positions in specific lineups, and so far, that's kind of what we've seen. And in my opinion, he's got the build to legitimately switch between the 4 and the 5, but hasn't necessarily been used that way today. Per cleaningtheglass.com, he has suited up at mostly power forward. 83% of his minutes last year and 91% the year prior. But interestingly enough, he did play nearly half of his minutes as small forward during his rookie season. Now, you got to take that with a grain of salt because it was a pretty minuscule minutes total, but it does hint at his positional versatility. He was a quality rim protector at the collegiate level, racking up 1.4 blocks per game, which happened to be 8th in the SEC conference that season, and is averaging 1.1 blocks per 36 minutes through his 3 years in the league. He's got some switchability to him, something that isn't new here with the likes of Evan Mobley and Jarrett Allen patrolling the court. That's something that we have had leaps and bounds for the last couple of seasons now due to those guys. Honestly, I wouldn't call him a quality rebounder, and he'll never likely be a quality playmaking big, but he does run the floor well and can finish above the rim. If there is one area that he has shown promise in my eyes, it's gotta be the 3-point stroke. And make no mistake, he's not exactly lighting it up from range, but he's got range, and I think that's important. Thor is coming off a season shooting 34.6% on about 1.3 attempts per game, and what's impressive to me is the catch and shoot numbers, 35.1% of those. Now, that doesn't sound like a lot to write home about, I get it, but it does kind of suggest that he could eventually turn into a reliable off-ball shooter, if you ask me. So here's the thing. The Cavs were clearly interested in him following his performance in the Paris Olympics, where he averaged 6.7 points and 4.7 rebounds in just 16.7 minutes per game for an upstart South Sudan team. Enough, in fact, to offer him a 2-way contract. But that 2-way deal guarantees him absolutely nothing. He's going to have to put in the work to get NBA level opportunities. But the good news is that the team ain't exactly flush with quality bigs off the bench, especially ones that are capable of playing the 5. It's Thompson or bust, honestly. And to be fair, we will likely see Mobley and Allen staggered so that one of them is playing center most of the time. So technically, Mobley is the backup center. But with Kenny Atkinson presumably diving 10 to 11 deep in the rotation, Thor might actually get opportunities for the sake of getting the starters some rest. But even with all of that said, it's difficult to have real expectations for him. So I'll just kind of leave it at this. 1, become a reliable rebounder. 2, become a respectable off-ball shooter, something that he has kind of shown. And 3, add weight to that frame. All of these things should be doable at the G League level. Since maybe the last one, I get adding weight does kind of take some time, and we are seeing Evan Mobley's evolution in that, and as well as Amani Bates attempting to do so as of right now prior to that meniscus injury, but it's certainly possible. Thor has been quite productive in his limited action this preseason and could quickly become a fan favorite. I know he's already winning me over, and I'm willing to bet I'm not the only one. That said, the typical "it's preseason, relax" sentiment applies here. Time will tell. Up next, we got Cavs legend, if you want to call him a legend, Tristan Thompson, who has been brought back for another year in the wine and gold. And I remember around this time last season when Double T was brought back home, I was ecstatic. Not necessarily because I believed he could make an impact on court, but because of the experience that he has and could offer such a young group. There wasn't a lot not to like about the signing, honestly, but once this season arrived, I was pleasantly surprised with the production that he actually offered, at least prior to January 23rd, when the NBA announced that Thompson had been suspended for violating the drug policy, a lengthy 25-game sabbatical. Nobody was happy about that. We were all pretty pissed because it just came out of left field, and we're like, Tristan, what the fuck are you doing? And up to that point, Thompson was averaging 3.8 points, 3.9 rebounds, and 1.1 assists while completing 65.6% of his field goals. And that does not sound all that impactful on the surface, but his mere presence was impactful. I'm telling you, especially on the offensive glass, where he's pulling down 1.6 offensive rebounds per game. That's the third highest amount on the team, despite playing just 12.4 minutes per game. This led to him being a plus 1.2. His on-court impact in such small doses and his off-court leadership were commendable. It was likely the reason why Damian Jones was basically benched, save for a sporadic appearance every now and then. And once he came back, he was not nearly as impactful, as he averaged just 2 points, 2.6 rebounds, and shot just 46.2% from the field. And worse than that, he was a negative 4.3 whenever he was on the court. Now, I'm going to give it to you straight. I don't think anyone is expecting Tristan Thompson to be part of the Cavs rotation this season. That said, I can still see him eating some minutes at the backup five when you need to give Jarrett Allen or Evan Mobley or possibly even both a breather. He's still a quality rebounder, we know that much, and he was in the 93rd percentile among bigs on the offensive glass this past season, and he can also still be useful in certain matchups. Take last year's overtime victory over the Philadelphia 76ers, for instance, where he managed to hold Joel Embiid to 1-6 from the field. He still has some utility out there. You can still get something out of him. It's just not wise to rely on it over the course of an entire season, but rather so here and there, just kind of plug and play, matchup dependent, if you will. Therefore, my expectation for this veteran big man is to simply stay ready, stay available, and be a good locker room guy. Every team needs good locker room guys. That's what Thompson is here. Now we get to the starting front court duo of Jarrett Allen and Evan Mobley. Two all-star caliber big men who are primed for big seasons under Kenny Atkinson. But let's begin with Jarrett Allen, shall we? Allen is coming off a pretty stellar regular season in which he put up a career best 16.5 points to go along with 10.5 rebounds, 2.7 assists, a career high, by the way, and 1.1 blocks while completing 63.4% of his field goals. He was perhaps the Cavs' second best player last year behind only Donovan Mitchell, and was rewarded for his efforts with a brand new contract extension that keeps him in town possibly through the 2028-29 season. And I gotta be honest, it was awesome to see him ball out and prove some of the narratives that had been spun about him wrong. Allen was well on his way towards complete redemption in the playoffs before succumbing to injury following Game 4 against the Orlando Magic. And prior to that, he was averaging 17 points, 13.8 rebounds, 1.3 assists, 1.3 steals, and 1 block while completing 67.6% of his shots in the process. That is the most efficient clip in the postseason last year. Allen was phenomenal, and had he remained healthy throughout the duration of the playoffs, the Celtics series probably gets a lot more interesting. Now, I know a lot of people, they feel whatever about that. They probably felt Boston was destined to win no matter what, but I cannot help but believe that if Jarrett Allen was healthy for that series, it'd probably go 6-7 games, and I am not going to mince words there, argue with a fucking wall. Alas, he didn't, and was continuously lambasted for not playing through a rather painful rib injury that still generates a lot of negative opinions and conversations to this day. Months later, Allen is fully healed and ready to hit the ground running during the 2024-25 season, and I think that is exactly what is going to happen here. His comments during Cavs Media Day basically echoed that. Perhaps one of the comments that stuck out the most to me was the mention of him shooting more threes. The exact quote was,
every single year it's always the talk about JA shooting more threes, but hopefully we can finally make that happen.
There are always areas I think that everyone should look to improve upon, and practice does make perfect after all. That said, Jarrett Allen has spent years proving he's worth the money and time the Cavs have invested in him, and as such, he's blown past any realistic expectations I could ever really have for him up to this point. He is one of the best rebounders in basketball, one of the best rim deterrents, and one of its most reliable finishers. Since the start of the 2017-18 season, Jarrett Allen's first in the league. Only 10 players have more total rebounds. Only 8 players have more blocks, and maybe most impressively, he is third in field goal percentage all time. Not just franchise history, but all time in the NBA, behind only DeAndre Jordan and Rudy Gobert. All of that in mind, I still do have expectations for him. He's not perfect. Attempt 1 to 2 3-pointers per game. I think that is totally possible with Kenny Atkinson back in charge. Average another double-double. This is something that I want to see Jarrett Allen consistently do to this point in his career, and earn first-team all-defense. Get that first-team all-defensive nod for the first time in your career. I don't know about you, but these all feel like very possible things. We know how much of an affinity Kenny Atkinson has for the 3-ball, and we know that Allen has put up the shots in the past, and we'll see. And we know that Allen is an incredible rebounder and should get enough touches to average at least 10 points per game, and we know that he is a great defender. So we're just going to have to see how all of these things play out. That leaves us with Evan Mobley, a young man that everyone is hoping will break out this year, and rightfully so, right? I mean, he has a new head coach, one who has a solid track record for player development. He's entering a season in which many bigs tend to put it all together, and he sounds ready to make that all-star leap. His words at Cavs Media Day echoed that.
What's a personal goal that you'd like for this year for yourself?
Definitely all-star. Start there and definitely get back in the defensive player conversation. Those are two big things I'm definitely looking forward to really lock in on and take to heart.
Now, here's the thing. We know Evan Mobley is a phenomenal defender, and I have no doubt that if he clears the 65-game requirement, that he'll make another all-defensive team while being in the hunt for the Defensive Player of the Year award. Hell, I think he's going to win that. And I have no doubts about those accolades. My questions and expectations happen to be on the other end, though. Last season, the USC product suited up for just 50 games, so it was impactful nevertheless when he was healthy. He put up averages of 15.7 points, 9.4 rebounds, and 3.2 assists, the latter two of which were career highs. Add in the 1.4 blocks, a career best 58% field goal percentage, and 71.9% free throw percentage, and you have the makings of a solid season. Mind you, this came on a career low 30.6 minutes per game. He was doing many of these same things we were already accustomed to despite a slow-paced offense. Mobley was running the floor quickly. He was a lob threat as always. He was a rim deterrent. He continued his ascension as a rebounder, and he was really starting to show signs of the playmaking that we had heard so much about leading up to his draft. Mobley actually posted 16 games in which he totaled 5 or more assists. That's 32% of his total appearances on the season. The big man ended the 2023-24 season ranked within the 84th percentile in assist percentage among bigs at 15.5%. That's pretty impressive stuff to me. The one real development was his utilization of the 3-point shot. Now, don't get me wrong. He wasn't attempting it with high volume, but a step forward was taken in a sense. In his 30 appearances pre-All-Star break, he completed 41.7% of his 3-point attempts, 10 of 24 to be exact. Post-All-Star break, the volume increased a bit, 1.8 attempts per game. He managed to complete 34.3% of those. Still respectable in my eyes, considering where he began his career at. His stretch from March 27 to April 6 marked a 6-game streak in which he buried a triple, going 7-12 in the process. He was taking 2 per game. He would go on to shoot 11-24, which is 45.8% from distance from March 24 to April 14th. It was great. And then the playoffs began, and Mobley wasn't nearly as comfortable taking that shot. He would shoot 5 of 18, or rather 27.8% in 12 games. A lot of it is front-loaded too, to be honest. He went 5 straight games without attempting one at one point. You can't really have that happen this season. Mobley has to start taking that 3-point shot with more frequency and more volume. And with all of that in mind, I have very clear and what I feel very exceedable expectations for him. Attempt 3 to 4 3-pointers per game. Average his first career double-doubles. He's knocking on the door of that basically every season. He just hasn't quite put it together. Be assertive. Be aggressive. Call for that fucking ball. Do what you did in preseason. Go out there and attack the defense. Just be assertive in asking for the ball. Develop a go-to post move, something that we've seen little semblances of here and there, but not consistently enough to be reliable as a go-to move. And last but not least, lean on the mid-range game more. This is an area that we all want to see Mobley take a step forward in. It's been hit and miss. Now, those of you who watched my individual expectations video on Evan Mobley, a lot of these things are going to probably sound repetitive and familiar to you. But these are all very doable things in my opinion. And I think that what we have heard from Kenny Atkinson about how he wants to increase Mobley's overall usage and allow him to make plays for others in transition, in addition to his improved shot mechanics, that most of these will happen or come to fruition. And the good news is that we are already seeing that play out through this preseason, where Mobley basically looked like an extremely confident player. He looks completely different, not just physically, but mentally. He's taken the fight to the defense, attacking inside with drives to the rim. He's backed his opponents down and used a bevy of moves already, including a nice hook shot. And he's run the floor very well, including making plays for others in the half court, whether that be Donovan Mitchell or Darius Garland, or a very beautiful pass, might I add, to Sam Merrill out in the quarters. This is the type of thing that will get people finally believing that the Evan Mobley leap is here. Go Cavs.